what's happening? How are you doing? How's your podcast coming along? I am Chris, and I want to say thank you so much for pressing play on this special bonus edition of Podtastic Audio. On these little bonus episodes, although they are kind of short, I cut out all the frills, and there's no extra sound effects. There's no extra intro music. It's just me delivering what I have directly to you. Now, if you do not know already, I actually record not only this podcast, the Chris and Christine Show podcast, and I also record clients' podcast. Now, usually the way I do the recording session is I do it through remote means, usually through CleanFeed, because it's what I like to use. I get rid of all the video nonsense because it ends up being an audio podcast anyways. So what I usually do is get everybody on the call all through CleanFeed, and I tape everything with my account. And I also run everything as a backup here on the Rodecaster Pro. I do that, then I get to work on all their audio files. Since I have separate audio tracks, I can make everybody sound the best I possibly can, assuming they have the right gear, which isn't always the case. So when we were planning out the next episode or the next recording session for their show, they were going to do it all in-house under one roof, under the company's roof, because this company is nationwide, although their headquarters are right here in San Diego. And the people they wanted on the show were all going to be in their San Diego office. And they were going to do it somehow like via one like telecom phone and a conference call or something goofy like that. I'm thinking, wait a second. I'm in San Diego. You're in San Diego. Why don't I just come to you and record everything for you with my Zoom PodTrack P4? I've got 4 microphones I can use. They are either the Samson Q2U microphones or the Audio-Technica 2100 microphones, which are basically the same thing. So I've got 4 of those. I've got plenty of wire. I can go to you and we can do the recording in person, in-house, which is pretty cool for me and for them because it's the first time they're recording their podcast in person, face-to-face, sitting around a conference room. Now, how did I pull this off? Well, first things first, I was sitting at the very end of the table, like the king seat of the table, with the Zoom PodTrack facing me. I was plugged in with headphones directly into the PodTrack P4. So I was monitoring everything. And then using the 4 XLR outputs, I plugged in 4 microphones. Now, there were 2 of them sitting on the left side of the table and 2 of them sitting on my right. So each of them had a microphone, and I just said, here's what you got to do. Since you're all in the same room, you obviously can hear everybody. You can see everybody and hear everybody because we're all together in the same table. Just hold the microphone in front of your mouth as if you're talking on a stage or something like that. I said, make sure that you get the microphone close enough, but not too close. And I know that some of them aren't really comfortable or used to talking into a microphone. And I get that. And some are, and some aren't. So I had to go over everything. And then when I finally pressed record, I was sitting there like making sure the levels were up and down, trying to figure out that this person was talking too loud, this person was talking too quiet. And I was constantly adjusting the knobs. And one thing I do not like about the Zoom PodTrack P4 is that the actual monitor meter on the thing, it's just one solid line that goes up and down. And so I know most like meters usually have a green, a yellow, and then a red, which means you're gone too far, you're clipping the audio. On the Zoom PodTrack, it doesn't have that. It's just one, it's not in color. It's like black and white screen. So there's no actual color to it. So I'm trying to figure out where is the good space as they're talking, like where to keep them. I try to keep them like right in the middle of the actual meter, hoping that's good enough. And then at the very end, when I press stop on everything, I'm trying to figure out like, is this audio, does it sound good? So here is a sample of yesterday's recording after I've already enhanced it. This is after I've already done all my stuff to it. Here, take a listen.
All right, Monique, live or streaming the Ryder Cup?
I'm negative.
Well, now that you're on a podcast, Monique, what are you going to do now that you're famous?
15 minutes.
15 minutes of fame.
You got to monetize this.
Right. I'll make sure to post it on all my social media so all my family and friends can listen.
I have some friends that listen, and they're actually gaining quite a bit of knowledge of ACE relocation systems through this. And they'll start asking me questions about the podcast. I'm like, I don't even remember what I said.
I'm sure that happens a lot.
Right after you're done recording. Until you listen back and like, oh, wow, why did I say that?
Do you ever listen to yourself back?
All the time. I hate my voice. I tell Dan that all the time. I don't like my voice. I love his, though. That's why he's the A mic.
So that does sound pretty good, but I did have to do a lot of work on everybody's separate audio track. That's one of the cool things about the Zoom PodTrack P4 is that you can record up to 4 separate audio tracks right on there with 4 separate microphones right on the memory card. And I was hoping that it would save correctly, and I was hoping the audio wasn't super bad. And it wasn't that bad. It's just that we had a lot of cross bleed from mic to mic, a lot of echo sound. Well, it didn't quite echo off the walls. It was mostly like being picked up by other people's microphones. So what I had to do is go in there and separate every track and just clean every track I could before I threw it through Levelator, and then enhanced it, and then put it all together and edit it like you normally would. But that is how I did it. That's how I pulled off an in-person client recording that I did yesterday. So happy podcasting to you.